Yeah, there you go.
Nice. Fancy. I'm ready?
Yes, ready.
Okay, it's nice to be back. I'm equally excited and humbled to be back here at My Angel Radio, San Francisco, for another sharing of my thoughts on a certain topic. So, before I start, next slide, please. I would just want to promote something of great importance. So, when we had that 1 year anniversary of My Angel Radio here at Golden Gate last July 30th, we had members from Sacramento Church of Christ. And I did realize that one of our sisters, her name is Erlinda Bianan. She's an RN. You see me over here, right? You see me?
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually her book. She wrote a book about, so this is entitled Nurse's Notes, Medical, Surgical, Critical Care Nursing, and the author is Erlinda Bianan. So she has a vast experience as far as medical surgical nursing is concerned. And what I like with this book is that it comes in a bullet outline. So it's easier for us as a quick reference whenever we are at work or we just want to check on something. This is really a good material. So it is already in your screen of how to order this guide, Nurse's Notes for Medical, Surgical, Critical Care Nursing. So I would want to just support this one because the author is our sister in Christ and her name is Erlinda Bianan. So please, if you have time or if you have a family member who's taking nursing and you would want to give this as a gift, this is a good material because as I've said, it's very simple and easy to understand. Thank you. Next slide is my health awareness topic. So August 1st is a World Lung Cancer Day. So these are just the facts and my source is actually the lungcancer.com. So lung cancer accounts for 25% of all cancer deaths. In 2020, there were 2.29 million new cases worldwide. That's pretty a lot. And 1.8 million deaths. That is about 2 years ago. The most important prevention is smoking cessation of all forms, from tobacco products, e-cigarettes, and of course the second-hand smoking. And the early detection is also important. So what are the symptoms? Coughing out of blood, chest or back pain, difficulty of swallowing. So if you have some things that are not usual, so please go to your medical practitioner and have yourselves checked. Because as I've always said, early detection saves lives. So before I go to my next topic, I just want to do a quick selfie over here. We'll do a quick selfie. Where's Brother James? There he is. Because, next slide, my topic, my reflection for today is selfie. Okay? Selfie. So I hope I could get this through, this reflection through. It's something difficult because it's a little bit sensitive to most, if not all of us. Next slide, please. Let's start first with interesting facts about selfie. So did we know that Robert Cornelius, took the first ever selfie way back in 1839? So the first selfie was not just like 2013 or like the COVID outbreak. It was actually first taken in 1839. The word selfie was the word of the year in 2012 by Oxford Dictionaries. And women, according to some studies, they take more selfies than men. Do you think so? And out of the social media websites, Facebook holds the highest uploaded selfies, which is at 48%. And interestingly, the city with the highest number of uploaded selfies, interestingly, is not New York, it's not San Francisco, it's in Makati, Philippines. My source is in Kenya News, March 28 of 2022. So we go to, what is selfie? Selfie, I want to, get rid of my selfie now. A selfie is actually a photograph that one has taken of oneself and is shared by social media, via social media. So for the sake of the discussion for today, selfie, I just want to mention that selfie is not just, for example, my parents, my mom and dad, they don't do selfie. They don't even know how to do selfie. So that this is more of like millennial term. So for the sake of our discussion for today, when I say selfie, it may mean a photograph, or when we look ourselves in the mirror, or when we look at our picture. Okay? Next slide, please. What do you see? Big question. What do you see in your selfie? When we travel, I usually take selfie of myself, and my daughter would just look at my selfie, and she would just laugh. Mommy, you're squinting, or mommy, look at your smile, look at your wrinkles, and all that. So when we look at our selfie, I must say, if not every one of us, there is a bit of awkwardness when the topic of selfie comes, because it is a moment when we look at ourselves in the mirror, when we look at our pictures, when we look at our own selfie, it connects us to our personal image. And that image can be a point which we face either pride, either vanity, or, for most part, insecurity. See? Unfortunately, significant number of women worldwide are not satisfied with their looks or their bodies. That is what we are gonna look into today. Next slide, please. So when you look at your selfie, or you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Like, for my most selfies in here, I was so tempted to show my selfies as part of my slide, but it doesn't feel comfortable. Do you see yourself someone chubby? Do you see yourself someone bone and skin or skinny? Do you see yourself, like, sometimes, for the most part, I see, especially with the technology, with like brother James' camera, he takes a picture of me and sends it to me. I see my fine wrinkles in here or in here. Do you see yourself short? Do you see yourself ugly? Do you see yourself unworthy? Do you see yourself loser? So when you look at yourself in the mirror, or in your photograph, or in your selfies, what do you see? I think for the most of us, there is a small part that desires to look good and struggles with insecurity about our looks. That I have to admit, that even if we say I am happy with what I look, there is just a little bit of voice inside me. Hi, brother Jerry. There's more pressure. There's a struggle of insecurity about our looks. That is why we take time to choose our clothes. That is why we take time to choose the proper diet, the proper products that we use for our body, the proper diet, the proper workout, because there's a part of us that struggles with how we look. That's just the background. So how do we feel about how we look? I'm looking at my selfie right now. Hi, do I look great? There is a part about how we look that is determined by our culture. Unfortunately, modern times now, it's so obsessed with our outward looks. That's why we always like spend our time shopping for the right clothes, choosing what to wear, and etc. So don't you think when I came in here, I just woke up and put this on? No, I have to think of what to wear so I would somehow look respectable in front of the camera, correct? Because it is, for the most part, it's culture driven. We have to accept that. Next slide, please. I did a little bit of research about how we look, about self-esteem, and in 2010, Dove, the maker of skin products, the soap, the lotion, and whatsoever, conducted a global study. It's entitled The Real Truth About Beauty Revisited. The findings are, it's very striking, only 4% of women around the world consider themselves beautiful. Only 4% would right off the bat say, I'm beautiful. Most of the women, they would not acknowledge that they look beautiful, that they look pretty.
So you're the
And
4%.
I know, I think I belong, I don't know. Let's see later. But this, yes, it's actually up. In 2004, it's only 2% of women. So 8 years later, it's only up by about 2%. So that's how, that explains the importance of this topic for me, because a lot of women out there, they see themselves as not beautiful, or say ugly, or we are not happy about ourselves. Another finding, only 11% of the girls are comfortable describing themselves as beautiful. And look at this, vast majority, 72% of girls feel tremendous pressure to be beautiful. That's why they have to buy certain products. That's why they have to change something in their body. That's why they have to color our hair. We put something in here because we are pressured to be beautiful. And 54% of women agree that when it comes to how they look, they are the worst beauty critic.
Wow.
Okay, so this result is actually very striking to me. Of course, I would want to say that there is nothing wrong with the healthy appreciation of our physical beauty, with caring our physical appearance. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, God is a God of beauty. Our God is a God of creativity. Our God is a God who makes masterpieces. So there's nothing wrong with appreciating our beauty or taking care of our physical appearance. The problem is, appreciating beauty is usually associated with our love. Associating beauty or appreciating beauty is usually connected with our worth. We always believe in the lie. Tell me, chime in if this is not reliable. But the lie is that good looking means being fulfilled. If you are in an interview, who do you think would they hire? Someone who dresses up appropriately and has good looks, or someone who's a little bit not well dressed, like he just woke up and etc. See, because great looks means being fulfilled. Great looks means being accepted. Great looks means being admired. Great looks means being respected. Great looks means being loved. That is where the problem lies. It's not on how we appreciate our body, but it's more on how we associate our looks, our deficiencies in our faces or in our bodies to our self-worth. So that's where the problem lies. Next slide, please. Some of the reasons why we see our selfies distorted. Some of the reasons why we look at ourselves skinny, ugly, not worthy, loser, or chubby, or getting old. Okay? Number one, we compare ourselves with others. Right? True or false? I hear. Okay, I have an audience here. When we compare ourselves with others, we set ourselves with unrealistic expectations. Right? The problem with comparing ourselves is that we always end up failing. We never, 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 ever be enough with whatever we're comparing to. Number two, when we are comparing ourselves with others, we conform with the other's identity. That means we lose our identity. And then when we compare ourselves with others, we take our eyes off our goals because we focus on that other person. Let me give you an example. When I was like growing up, I was in school, elementary and high school. My older brother, well, he already passed away. I'm sorry. My older brother and myself went to the same school. We are just 1 year apart. So he is, if I am first grade, he is second grade, and then etc. etc. Now, because he is the first, the teachers will always say, "Oh, and he's very bright." I have to admit that one. He graduated valedictorian, and I graduated as number 10 in our class. Well, I am not the dumbest of the dumb, but I have to say that in class, I will always be identified as his sister. It feels like I'm under his shadows. So when he graduated from high school, and then he's already in college, and I am left in high school, that's when I made my own name. But unfortunately, his memories still live in that school, and I will still be identified as his sister. That my brother is valedictorian, so they expect me to be on top, but I am just the number 10, and so on and so forth. That one, it haunted me. I have to accept, haunted me for like years and years, because even our former teachers, I see them in here, and I say, "Oh, I was your student in the past." They would say, "Oh, your brother is John." I go, "Of course." They remember my brother, not me. So that is the risk with comparing ourselves. Number two, misguided obsessions. Number two cause is misguided obsessions. We are constantly pushed, pressured by social media, by television, about how we should look. Have you seen a Barbie doll that is chubby? No. Have you seen a model that has the hair is not fixed? No. But at least lately, I have seen some skin soap models. They have freckles or some signs of imperfections. At least that's a great sign. But in the past, if you are a model or something, you have to have a good looks. We are misguided that for you to be beautiful, you have to have straight hair, you have to have a skinny waist, and etc. If you don't have it, then you are not beautiful at all. That is the pressure now that we get from the television, advertisements, social media, Facebook. Like when I'm watching this My Angel Radio broadcast, there's an advertisement. And guess what? It has something to do with the hair, with clothes, and etc. It's giving me pressure for me to get their product, so I would look like that model. These products are capitalizing on that one, because we have the urge that we have to feel great. They kind of like capitalize on that one. Next, when we feel rejections or failures, that's why we have distorted selfies. That's why we don't feel adequate. That's why we don't feel confident about ourselves. We didn't succeed once, and then we easily give up. That's one cause or reason of low self-esteem. And number 4 and 5, feedback from others and being criticized. Much of what we see in ourselves is what other people told us to see. For the longest time in my life, I am described as someone who's skinny for the longest time. So even if I have achieved enough according to the numbers that my height is adequate with my weight, etc., I still look at myself as someone skinny. Because that's what other people told me to see about myself. Right? Feedback from others, over time, I hear that one, oh, you're so skinny. So even at this time, like I already feel some bill. I already feel some skin folds in my tummy. I still see myself as someone, yes, it's called love handles, as someone skinny. Because it's been embedded in my mind for years and years. So what are the consequences of distorted selfie? Number 1, anxiety and depression. We get so stressed, and we if we don't feel confident about ourselves, we kind of like hide. We don't want to participate. Our energy level is low, and etc. Number 2, problems with relationships. Have you heard some breakups or something because they found a girl who's skinnier than the wife, or etc. Problems with relationships. Or I don't belong to the group because I am not like this, I don't have long hair, I don't, etc. Problems with relationships. Number 3, underachievements. Unfortunately, a lot of individuals do not reach their full potential because they don't see themselves as having one. We don't feel confident. I have a friend, she sings really, really well, but she doesn't know that she sings well because she was told that her voice cracks and etc. She was told of those negative feedbacks. Number 4, increased vulnerability to substance abuse, from alcoholism to drugs to smoking and all other types of substance abuse, because sometimes we find gratification in those things if we don't see those gratifications with how we look. And number 5, we may develop eating disorders. So there are 2 kinds of eating disorders. It's called anorexia nervosa, which is characterized by extreme fear of gaining weight. They don't want to gain weight. They see themselves skinny. They see themselves fat, but they are grossly skinny. They don't want to eat at all because they look at themselves when they do selfie. I'm very, very fat, even if they are bone and skin, because that's what maybe told them. Next, bulimia nervosa, on the other hand, is an eating disorder, which is characterized by overeating and followed by purging via, sorry to those who are eating, via laxatives or vomiting. So there are certain individuals, they look at themselves like or too fat, so they eat a lot, and then they feel guilty. So they take medication or something, they stimulate vomiting. So, do you see yourself defined by your outward appearance? Do you feel desperate with improving how you looks in order for you to be loved or to be accepted? Next slide, please. May I suggest to you some ways to have a better selfie? These are just my suggestions. Number one, how to have better selfie. Number one, identify and accept your strengths and weaknesses. Many aspects of our body cannot be changed. That we have to accept. This body, I cannot change. A lot of it, I cannot change. But we can change our attitudes and beliefs. The change should start internally. Okay? By accepting actually who we are. By accepting our strengths, by our weaknesses, by accepting that Debbie is just 5'4", by accepting that my weight is just 124 pounds, by accepting that I am this skinny, by accepting everything I have in this body. According to 2 Corinthians 12, verses 9 to 10. But he said to me, look at this one. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses. See, you have to be proud of your weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, calamities. For when I am weak, then I am made strong. We have to accept our limitations. We have to be happy as is with our body. Okay? Second, I'm having goosebumps. I'm doing a lecture to myself. Number 2. Next slide. Oh, there you go. Look at yourself from inside out. Okay, let me read. This is one of my favorite. While I was planning for this reflection, this is my favorite verse so far. Look at this. Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that in your inner self, the unfading beauty of the gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's eyes. That is in 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 to 4. It does not mean then that we should not want fashionable clothes. It does not mean that I should not be visiting my hairstylist. It does not mean that I should not be taking care of my wrinkles and etc. What it means is that our attractiveness should come from the inside. The point is not for us to ignore how we look, but the point is we should focus on the real beauty, which is beneath this skin. Right? So it's not just about taking care of this skin. The point, if you want to see the real beauty of a person, we have to look beneath and past the skin. So this is the fashion tip from God.
Amen.
Next slide, please. This is what God suggests. Fashion tip. I said fashion tip from God. It's Colossians 3, 12 to 14. This is his fashion tip. Read with me. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you, and over all these virtues, look at this, Put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. That is beauty in the truest sense. It has nothing to do with absence of wrinkles, with straight hair, with skinny waistline, and etc. It has something to do with from within. Okay? So that is the fashion tip from God. Next one. Next slide. Stop comparing. Comparing yourself to others cripples. Okay? Please understand and accept that there's always gonna be someone above you or better than you and someone worse than you. Okay? According to 2 Corinthians 10, verse 12, for we do not dare make ourselves of the number or compare ourselves with some that commend themselves, but they measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves are not wise. So if we compare ourselves with others, we are not wise. It's as simple as that. Because we are unique, we have our own talents, our own weaknesses, our own contributions to the society. So just stop comparing and give your best shot. Okay? Next thing is, so identify and accept your strengths. Number 2, look at yourself from inside out. Number 3 is stop comparing. Number 4, very important, accept, here we go, genetics and the aging process. We have to accept our genetics. We have to accept our genes. It is critical to remember that most of what we are, most of the aspects cannot be changed. I have to be honest. I read a reference that says at least, look at this, 25 to 70% of our body is determined by our genes. That means that we cannot change it.
Right.
Even if I go through surgeries like reduction, adding, or whatsoever, deep down in my genes, I remain as this skinny, tiny individual because that's in my genes. So might as well accept it rather than fight with it. Right? And that accept that our bodies will age. It will deteriorate. It's not just me who's aging every day. Everybody who's still alive right now, a living organism, from plants to animals to planet Earth to ourselves, we age every single day. That is just the unfortunate fact. So we have to accept it. According to 2 Corinthians 4, verses 16 to 18, it says in here, so we do not lose heart, though the outer nature is wasting away. See, even the Bible is accepting that this outer nature is wasting away. The inner nature is being, look at this, renewed day by day. For this slight momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of the glory beyond all comparison. As we look not to the things that are seen, but the things that are unseen. For the things that are for the things that are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. So why do we invest on something that fades away? Something that ages? Why don't we invest on something that's eternal? Something inside us. So number 4 suggestion, accept genetics and the aging process. Next is remember our Maker. Okay? I would want to remind all of us, including myself, that we were created by the best Maker in the universe. There's new term now, multiverse, And another term now, because I've been watching a lot of science something, multiverse and parallel verse. The same God who makes the universe, the mountains, the oceans, the star, the moon, etc., and everything that we cannot see, the same God made us.
Yes.
We are not piece of junk. And take note of this. We have the best identity. Why did I say that? We have the best of all the creatures that you could ever know or remember. Human being have the best identity. Why? Because we are created in His own image.
Yes.
I am happy that I have God's fingerprints in me.
Yes.
I am happy that my brothers, everybody that I see, have God's fingerprints on them. So let me just remind you how beautiful this body is. Our body, the main component, the basic component, let me just go back to anatomy, is called cells. This body is made up of millions and millions of cells. A group of cells, they work together, it's called tissues. A group of tissues, they work together, form an organ. Organ, they work together, is called system. And a group of system working together as one is called human body. That alone, when I try to remember that, it's giving me goosebumps. I am so happy, I'm so proud, I'm so humbled that I am made by the best maker ever. And not only that, God made millions and millions of us, similar in some way, but different or unique in other sense. There's no same Debbie in the whole worldwide. There's only one of this face. I know there could be some, they call it doppelganger, but there's only one of this face, and my genes, in my whole worldwide or universe. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, or when you look at your selfie, please remember that you are looking at the masterpiece in the history of human existence. You are not a piece of junk. You are a masterpiece. It says in Psalms 139, verses 13 to 14, "For you created my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb, fearfully," look at this, "and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." And I want also to read from Ephesians 2:10, "For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them." Okay? And the last, how to develop better selfie. Number 1, identify and accept your weaknesses. Number 2, look at yourself from inside out. Number 3 is stop comparing. Number 4, accept genetics and the aging process. Number 5, remember your maker. And the last, it's important. You have to develop a perfect selfie. How? By putting on to Christ. God is inviting us to see the beauty according to His camera. God is inviting us to see our beauty according to His eyes, like how He sees us. God is inviting us to see ourselves according to His lens. So this, I know this is Brother James' favorite verse. "I have been crucified with Christ," listen to this, "and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life that I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave Himself for me." So that is the best way to develop good selfie. right? Is when we put on to Christ. Because at the end of the day, this body will decay. At the end of the day, this beauty will fade. But whatever we put on inside us is Christ. It's gonna last eternally.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, God will not see the skinny Debbie with a lot of wrinkles and gray hair. At the end of the day, if you put on Christ, at the end of the day, you have Christ in your heart. He will see Christ in you.
Amen.
Those are the ways on how to have better selfie. So my last slide is that how then do we put on Christ to have a perfect selfie? It's simple. We obey the gospel of Christ. We hear the truth, believe in the truth of Christ, repent of our sins, confess, be baptized, and be faithful. At the end of the day, if we follow these simple steps, then we will have a perfect selfie. Regardless of whether or not I see myself like wrinkles or blinking or whatsoever, I could even show the selfie that I got earlier. Look, it's not physically it's not perfect, but I know that I have Christ in me. At the end of the day, my selfie is gonna be great.
Amen.
So there you go, my friends, ladies and gentlemen. That's part 1 of selfie, by the way,
Oh, okay.
because I am thinking at the other side of the spectrum, my next topic is selfie number 2.
Oh, wow.
If there's other individuals who see themselves as low, as ugly, there are also individuals who see themselves very beautiful, very great, always number 1. So that's gonna be my selfie number 2 next time. So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for listening, for sparing your time. If you have been blessed or inspired by this one, please share it to your friends, relatives, associates, neighbors, and coworkers, and other strangers. Thank you so much.